The 2010s decade will be over in 4 months. What do you think people will remember this decade for? People are gonna reminisce about how good the 2010s were. They may not seem good now, but just wait to see what the 20s have in store for you. Oh no. cool_aid_man.png. The decade where politics turned into a name-calling shitshow where reason is irrelevant. Sports team politics. More like religion politics. People believe the tenets of their party without ever questioning them a lot of times and take it even further by claiming that anyone who disagrees with them is not only wrong but an evil person to boot. I saw a post just earlier today where someone said they cut off their parents after finding out they voted for Trump because they didn't want toxic people like that in their lives. Depression and memes. But really I think mental health will be one of the biggest problems going forward, and this is going to be known as the times when it emerged as a problem. Social media memes, smartphones, Trump. Greater than Trump and possibly 2020 to 2024. Very possible. But seriously, he's made such an impact on this decade, better or worse, that it's going to be impossible to separate the two, even though Obama will have been president for a larger portion of the decade. Just like the 80s will always be synonymous with Reagan. If you watch almost any TV show made in 2017, they almost always find ways to work in Trump references or jokes. It's actually quite annoying at times when you're binging through a show. The dress was blue. Laurel. Social media, influencers, Netflix/streaming. It was available before 2010, but didn't get reliable until after. Swipe dating apps. The word online dating and dating sites are now swapped with the phrases dating apps Obama/Trump. People will remember social media, but I have a very strong feeling nobody's going to give a shit about these influencers anymore in the future. No one does now. https://www.insider.com/Instagram. 2 million followers cannot sell 36-ton shirts 2019-5. I don't like this realization. The 90s are soon 30 years ago. Just think, 30 years before the 90s was the 60s, the incredible rise of misinformation and irresponsible knee-jerk reaction choices on very serious topics. The ability for social media users to quickly destroy someone's life when they have a lapse of judgment. We did it Reddit. From a design/aesthetic standpoint, minimalism/flat design, mostly due to the rise of tablets and browsing the internet on mobile devices. Clean lines, simple colors like black, white and gray. TV commercials, early 2010s ads are backed by upbeat xylophone/triangle/whistling/hand clapping music, or people breakdancing or doing the worm to obnoxious dubstep music. The late 2010s have vivid colors and imagery, vaporwave style aesthetics, and loud over-the-top spokespeople talking fast in the middle of the screen. Think Captain Obvious from the Hotels.com commercials or Terry Crews from the Old Spice commercials, entering a new golden age of automotive design. Almost every new car from the decade is elaborately styled. This might end in the 2020s as crash safety technology requires more new cars to look the same, and car interiors will replace dashboards and gauges with touch screens. A move away from chain restaurants and the rise of food trucks and locally owned restaurants that all feature string lighting, outdoor tables with giant Jenga blocks, Edison bulbs, and a craft beer selection written on a chalkboard. All houses are painted in that greige color and have all white kitchens with that same white subway tile backsplash. There is probably a barn door, shiplap accent wall, and a fiddle leaf fit inside. Party rock. 2011 was such a rad time to go to college house parties. Real headlines trying to outdo The Onion. That's never going to happen. The Onion headline about the president causing a controversy by drawing on a map with a Sharpie still cracks me up. I'm afraid I've got some bad news for you. The social media explosion. And the 20s will be the implosion. We're already sick of ourselves. It's going to be so weird saying the 20s. In historical terms, 50 years from now, It's probably going to be seen as the end of the sixth party system. https://n.wiki.org/wiki/sixth_party_system in US politics. It was drawing to a close anyway, but I think historians will view the Trump presidency as the era where there was a distinct shift on both sides, an increase in small dollar donations for political candidates, especially on the left. Increasing partisanship between the left and the right. A swing towards progressivism on the left, as seen by the rise of Sanders, Warren and Ayok. The slow weakening of the religious right, as evidenced by the willingness of evangelicals to look the other way on their moral purity tests, and the depressingly speedy rise of the nationalist right. The push towards women and minority representation in government. In political terms, the 2000s were all about terror. The 2010s are going to be remembered for upending the political landscape. This won't age well. No, it won't. It's amazing to me that many Western liberals can be so out of touch with larger global trends. The future is going to be an increasingly illiberal one, simply because the major, rising powers of tomorrow are illiberal. Given that, I expect the 2010s will be seen as a high point of liberal political ideologies in the Western world, that now begin the slow descent into irrelevance as the rest of the world cares less and less about Western, liberal values. Our inability to come together and tackle climate change. Hooray! Didn't see it here, so I'll mention it. The Syrian civil war and rise and fall of the Islamic State. Even now, it already seems forgotten. I'm not sure how well it will be remembered given that memes and Minecraft, Gangnam Style and Harambe, Dicks Out. I never understood the Dicks Out for Harambe phrase. Is it as stupid as it sounds? The wild switch from President Obama to President Trump. Say what you want good or bad about either of them, but their ways of doing the job are very different in many ways. You put that very politically neutral. I like it. I think this decade will be remembered for a few big things, at least in the US, millennials. The name of the game this decade. Millennials were at the center of almost every major cultural conversation. From social media and technology to jobs and the economy. Hipsters and smartphones and gaming systems and trends and Facebook and Instagram, etc., etc. Millennials had the biggest cultural impact of this decade. Obama/Trump. Obama was elected last decade, but most of his term was this decade. He got Bin Laden, passed healthcare, and triggered a whole bunch of people just because he was black. Then Trump really popped up in 2015 for his presidential run. Was it really that long ago? And he's been at the forefront of news ever since. Superhero everything. 20 MCU movies have been released this decade. Then there are the other Spider-Man movies, the DC Universe movies, Nolan's and Snyder's, as well as countless other movies and shows. Last decade was zombies, this decade is superheroes. I can already see future history classes analyzing this, like as the American people felt the loss of their own power and control over their situation, they turned towards books, movies, and television based around superheroes as a form of escapism. Because they felt like they couldn't change their own situation, it became commonplace to fantasize about those who could. I mean, that's basically the same reason superhero comics became popular back in the 30s. The rise of the smartphone. Everyone has access to the internet and can voice their opinion towards the world at any moment, with all the negative effects that it brings. The horrific turn the Area 51 raid took, resulting in hundreds dead and the unleashing of angry captive aliens upon the world to exact their revenge on humanity. Don't forget the military being defeated by swarms of Naruto runners, leading to new arms limitation treaties banning the use of the Naruto run in any armed conflict. They also banned anime as a result, which caused weeps to flood the streets of Washington, waifu body pillows in hand, and Shinzo Abe to publicly cut all ties with the United States. No one could have predicted the butterfly effect of what ensued following the Area 51 raid. This will be in history books. If we survive that long under our new alien overlords, on the bright side, the aliens disguised as humans finally revealed their identities as a result. Elon Musk was no surprise, but I think we can all agree no one was expecting Todd Howard to be one, opening up a lot of questions about the true nature of Skyrim. From a video game standpoint, this is the decade of the indie explosion, esports, battle royales and microtransactions. From a cinematic standpoint, this is the age of superheroes. Comic book movies dominated in the last decade and they are not going anywhere anytime soon. I think we'll eventually look back at superhero movies the way that we look back at cowboy movies. Cowboy movies are still kick-ass. The meme renaissance. Chapter 7, memes were the quintessential millennial mode of expression, akin to the hieroglyphics of Egypt and the cuneiform tablets of Sumer. Early 21st century internet savants populated their Facebook feeds with fan favorites such as lolcats and velociraptor. As the trend caught on, memes diversified and developed, getting adopted by such institutions as politics, academia, and postmodern avant-garde expressionism. As memes became more sophisticated, so too did their influence over society. The charged political landscape ignited a trend of weaponizing them for political use, culminating into the bloody meme wars of 2028. At the rate memes are evolving, the meme wars will begin way sooner than 2028. Outrage addiction. Ah yes, the ragegasm. How are y'all gonna leave out the most influential trend of the 2010s? Fidget spinners. They united us as a nation in a time where our country was divided more than ever. They solved AD overnight while boosting our economy to levels unseen since the POC craze of the 90s. Don't ever forget this. Pokemon Go. I know it's a meme at this point, but that first month of Pokemon Go was the closest I've seen this nation since 9/11. Brexit, Trump as president, #MeToo, #Black Lives Matter, Leonardo DiCaprio got an Oscar. I disagree. Brexit will still be going on for another 68 years. Humanity will be eradicated before Brexit ends. Change my mind. I'm just hoping that the 20s will be the resurgence of gangster suits, black fedoras, and saying things like, "I'll punch you into mush, see?" And leaning against a street lamp at night flipping a coin in the air with your thumb. While chomping on a cigar. Social media. A great tool horribly mismanaged. I think it might be seen as a time of real change. We legalized gay marriage, a handful of states have legalized marijuana, and whatever your opinion of it is, the #MeToo movement has been a big deal. The death of traditional media. Printed newspapers and periodicals, broadcast television and radio are fading. And while digital music way predates the 2010s, it took until this decade for pop stars to stop selling albums. They aren't tallying CD sales anymore, they're counting unique streams.